Happy Halloween, everybody. Modern Warfare 2 just dropped over the weekend, and I wanted to give you guys a first impressions. I am going to give basically a review over it, but I might give an update later on, maybe a month after the games come out, to see how that goes. I haven't really gotten to try everything in the game, and we'll get into that, mainly just like maxing out leveling a gun. But my initial first thoughts were I was a bit disappointed. And honestly, when I saw that it was Modern Warfare 2, I was thinking it was going to be a lot like the more recent one, where very arcadey, fast paced, and where Warzone kind of spawned from. And I still play over the last two Call of Duties that have come out these past couple years. However, it isn't necessarily a bad thing. It just means my expectations were thrown off a bit. This Call of Duty, the pacing is slower. The running around feels slower. Tactical sprint still feels really fast. But even the map design, they still have the three lanes, but think of it woven. So woven three, it's kind of hard to explain. There's probably three lanes going vertical and four lanes going horizontal. But really, when you turn a corner, there's a lot more noise on the map. So instead of just looking around a corner and probably seeing a bend or looking at one piece of cover or down the corridor, you're really looking at 3 to 6 different areas that someone could be in. And the maps are relatively small, not Nuketown small, but small enough. I think they're the right size. However, it does make encounters happen quite often. You do find out where the hot zones are, so to speak. Now, this meant for a lot more slower pacing. Instead of running and jumping around corners or sliding around areas, you got punished for that, which means camping got rewarded a lot more. Not something that I think we all enjoy, but I definitely found way more success in zoning off areas. Considering how close the map was, you could easily find a area that's relatively near the middle of the map or frequents a spawn zone and just start picking off people. Killing someone, moving to a different spot, killing someone, moving to a different spot. Not so much running circles around the map as might be a little bit more tradition where you're chasing the spawns around the map, because sometimes I found it where I would die or I would kill someone and they would spawn directly behind me. Or they would spawn, I've spawned in front of someone while they were mid-firing at a teammate and I was less than a foot away when I spawned. Now, I think that's just classic Call of Duty spawns, but the maps are that small to where I think that there's a hard time finding a safe spot for you to spawn at times. So a lot of people ended up hunkering down and sitting in areas, which made the game feel a lot more tactical. And I kept comparing the game to Valorant, which I'm no stranger of. But it did mean that I changed my way of playing it. And when I would turn corners, I would check and peek each area before I would move forward. And it was a bit refreshing. It was different, Call of Duty. I kind of have maybe a controversial take. I think if the spawns were roughly 1 or 2 more seconds longer, maybe even if you waited 5 seconds between spawns, the game might feel a bit more pace, but I think no one would like having to wait 5 seconds to spawn in a game. With that being said, yeah, I did see people struggling with the new pacing of the game and going forward, and it might be subjective how you think about this moving forward, but it did feel a lot like OG Modern Warfare. And I'm talking back on the 360, the PlayStation PS3s, that kind of stuff. That stuff it felt a lot more like that. So for those of you who have been missing that type of gameplay, well, it's back. And for those of you who never missed that type of gameplay, well, I'd like to hear your thoughts if you're enjoying this new pacing, if this is your first time experiencing it or not. But the guns, I mean, the guns they feel good. I didn't have a problem with, I didn't really hate the way they felt. They didn't feel like airsoft guns. They didn't feel like pellets. They felt good. I did notice that the muzzle flashes on the guns were a lot bigger, and the recoil felt more significant than what I was used to. I focused more on putting handling attachments on my guns than I did aim down sights, because usually I like to be really fast and I get in and out really quick. But because I wasn't sliding or jumping around corners or playing the game more arcadey, because I was taking more of a tactical approach, I didn't really care for those quick speed reliant attachments, because I didn't need them. I was mainly playing off of the fact that I'm going to play off of the map. And so it changed up how I set up my guns, and I used attachments that I normally don't ever really use, which was interesting, and it was cool. The recoil was affected it so much that I remember my first match where someone wasn't crazy far away, but they were far enough to where I had to take a second to aim. Not so much head glitching, but chest up. And they were taking cover behind something, definitely. And me and that other person had difficulty firing at one another. This happened on multiple times where a lot of times people are moving closer and taking cover, and it's not so much just running and gunning. And it was an interesting and different experience playing Call of Duty for me, of more recent times. So other than that, the guns are leveled up differently. You can't simply just level up anymore and then acquire guns as you level up. You have to level up specific guns to get other specific guns. I can speak. Like, for example, I wanted the FSS Hurricane. It was one of the default weapons. I really liked it, and I'm a fan of submachine guns. But in order to unlock it, I had to go down this weapon tree that it was at the end of course. And I had to get a assault rifle done, and then I had to get a battle rifle done, and then I had to finally get my submachine gun. And battle rifles are kind of like marksman rifles. They're basically single fire, and they hit really hard, but they have like low amount of clips. Like I had to use the F-Tac, I believe, and it was at 10 bullets per clip. So it wasn't the best experience using something that only had 10 bullets in it to acquire my submachine gun. And personally, I enjoy those challenges, and I enjoy trying to unlock skins and doing challenges to unlock skins in Call of Duty. It gives me something else to do on top of playing the game with others. But I do see this as dropping in quality of life for the game itself. However, I do see where they were going with this. You know, there's a lot of you might be hearing me go ping ponging a little bit here, but I was able to unlock a gun that probably normally would have been locked up until level 30 or 40, and I was level 22 by the time I had it. Now, this isn't a new feature, but this is a feature that I've definitely appreciated, is the customization of your gun while you're in mid-match. I love this thing, and I don't know if it's more intuitive in this game or not, but I definitely, while I was going through my challenges and unlocking guns, I was able to swap guns into my new gun that I recently unlocked mid-match and use it. So that was cool. I enjoyed that. That's just like a way to go. I love that little feature kind of in the game. But overall, I see I see the gun leveling, and I see the gun play, something that might bother people, but it is, I wouldn't like to be stuck using a shotgun or a light machine gun, trying to get a sniper rifle, or in those kinds of situations, right? I kind of just can see people just wanting to unlock the gun they want to get, and then moving on from there and going in and playing. Now, there was something this is kind of what I was talking about in the beginning, I didn't get to really try out, was maxing out a level of the gun. You get to tune it or tweak it, really fine tune it, reduce the recoiling, and probably do a bunch of other things with it. And I think that's really cool, especially in Call of Duty. I've always been kind of a believer that, you know, everyone can pick a gun that they like and make it work the way they want it to work. And I've kind of been known to being the king of jank, so I do like to jump in there and take something that might not be meta and have some fun with it. But being able to do this and add another level of customization, from what I heard from those who I was playing with that did unlock the tuning, it was something that they enjoyed and they had fun with. I would probably have to give an update on that later when I max out a gun, but until then, I think that's a really cool feature that's been added to the game overall. Now, this is my first impressions, and I had fun playing the time that I did playing. I enjoyed the map sizes. I didn't get to play a lot of the game modes. But the game modes that I did play, like the domination, I really liked how when you have to capture a point, you have to completely get rid of what the enemies took over. So even if you have a point, they can have it 90% done, almost taken. And when you step on it, it doesn't just disappear. You have to load it like you're taking it back, but you still have the point. I think that's really cool, and that adds for more of a tug of war push and maybe call of arms for people playing objectives. And I did see a lot of people playing objective, which was cool. But who knows how that might turn out in the weeks to come. I'm really just excited for Warzone 2 and what that might go out. So right now, this is kind of weird. Personally, the game for me, it's another Call of Duty game. It's like at a 5 or a 6. That's just personally me, right? I don't see myself playing this crazy much. But critically speaking, and how everything worked and how everything flowed and how it was cohesive, the game is a 7 out of 10. Critically speaking, I didn't really have a lot of problems at launch. Not as many problems as like Overwatch, but it every once in a while, I think I had one crash the whole time, and there was some weird things going on with crossplay. It didn't work all the time when I was trying to play. I'm on PC and I'm trying to play with other people that are on consoles. So, but other than that's just normal, right? That's just stuff that I think is going to stay, unfortunately, is going to stay a problem throughout Call of Duty, because it was something that's always been a problem, connecting that kind of stuff. But the games ran smoothly. I didn't really run any bugs, and there was not a lot of latency issues when I was playing either. And I didn't see anyone with crazy amounts of latency either. So overall, had fun. Maybe let this simmer in. If you haven't bought the game yet, maybe I would say watch some people play it, hear some other people's thoughts, and get into it. Who knows? I don't even know if Warzone 2 is going to be free, but that's how I ended up buying Modern Warfare for the first time in a long time. Was I jumped in, felt how the guns played, felt how the other things, and then I was like, oh, I love how this game feels, and then bought the game immediately after I tried out Warzone, which is probably the big idea for that. But until next time, guys, play nice.